Alrighty, people, who's ready to get a little bit better? If so, say yes. Okay, here we go. I don't do this too often, but I'm gonna do it back to back. Last week we talked about how do I fix my marriage. Let's talk about that again. I mean, come on, that's worth 2 videos, right? Like, how do I fix my marriage? We gave some practical things last week. And some of you are like, I did that, but like, my marriage isn't fixed. Okay, I know it's only been a week, but I thought what I did last week was some pretty practical, tactical things on how to fix your marriage. How about this week we go a little deeper? Like, deep work, deep on your marriage. And I'm just going to come at this one from context. So, context, like, I've been in the place where my wife looked at me after being married for 15 years or so and said, I don't know if I want to be married to you anymore. We ended up doing some marriage counseling at that time. One of the best decisions of my life. She'd been trying to get me to do it for like 2 years, and I was like, hey, let's go. So she said that. So been there in that moment. But then, like a couple years ago, we were in a good place. And things were good. And life was good. And business is growing. And kids are good and involved in school and doing the date nights. And like, things were good. But every now and then, things were not good. And something would come up, and then it was like, she'd be angry, and I'd be frustrated, and then everything would be fine again for a month or 2 months or 6 months, and then something would happen. And there was just this underlying, almost unspoken tension, and there was something there that wasn't resolved that like we just couldn't put our finger on it. And so we ended up going away and we did like a marriage intensive. We invested a good bit of money to go for a marriage intensive, and it was 5 days, and it was 2 years of marriage counseling crammed into 5 days. Amazing, amazing, amazing experience, and it was transformative. And I will tell you, on the way there, I said we couldn't put our finger on it, but I mean, really, I had the list of what my wife needed to work on. I'm not completely joking. Like I did. I mean, she needed to work on this, and she needed to let go of this because she was angry, and so she needed to let go of this. She needed to forgive me because I'm a really good guy, and we need to have more sex, of course. And I had the list. As you might guess, it didn't turn out quite that my list was accurate. In fact, I was completely off, and there was a whole lot that I needed to take ownership and responsibility for that I wasn't even aware of. And that's why I call this deep work, because if you do the practical stuff and there's still that underlying tension, then there might be some things below the surface that you're not addressing. And so I'm going to bring up a few areas maybe you haven't considered, because the 5 love languages is good. Take the test, do that. That's really good and practical. But there's some stuff below the surface that you might not be considering. And so here's the big overarching statement that I want to give you. If your marriage is feeling tense, or if your marriage is on the rocks, or if you've got that underlying thing, here's what I can tell you. And this is most of you know, I've been a pastor for 25 years. My father before me for 48 years. And like, everybody's like, we're not in love anymore. We're not in love anymore. And people get divorced or they separate because we're not in love anymore. It's almost never a lack of love. It's rarely a lack of love. You know what it is? It's a lack of understanding. It's not a lack of love that's the issue in your marriage. It's a lack of understanding. Because when there's a lack of understanding, there can't be alignment, there can't be unity, there can't be strength, right? And so the 3 areas I'm going to give you here real quick, I want to give you 3 areas to bring back into alignment, to shine the spotlight on, to create understanding in your marriage. And I'm going to do this kind of quick. We just had a call in our transformation community. Amazing community, entrepreneurs, growth-minded people. We do 3 coaching calls every single week. And so we had an hour-and-a-half call where I dove deep into this stuff that I'm getting ready to share with you. And it was powerful. And the conversation, the dialogue with the other people in the group was just amazing. But I'm going to give it to you in about 8 minutes here. If you want information about the community, drop a comment. We'll follow up with you. But here's what I want to tell you. 3 areas that you can bring back into alignment that could have radical impact on your marriage. This video right now is probably going to create more questions than give answers. And if I do that, that's success. area number one, you got to get aligned in purpose. Alignment in purpose. And two areas on that. One is you've got to get aligned in your shared purpose. And that's different for everybody. You could have a shared purpose in parenting. You could have a shared purpose in your marriage of like creating the life we desire together. You might be business owners together and you've got a shared purpose to grow your business. Maybe you're like, I've done ministry with my wife and I, so we had this shared purpose in ministry and being children of God. Like, so you could have a shared purpose in a lot of different ways. Maybe you've got a passion project that you want to save the whales or build shelters for animals or help a foreign country or help third world people or sex trafficking. Like, you have a shared purpose, something you are both passionate about and you are aligned and you are in sync. Like, if some of you think your issue is that like there's no more love, but if you would just bring purpose back into your marriage and there was something you could align and share, woo, the sparks would fly, passion would come alive. But can I tell you something? If all you're doing is paying the bills, having a date night, taking the kids to and from, oh my gosh, I have so many, like, and going on a vacation once a year for 7 days, that exhaustion, and you come back and you're exhausted, you need a vacation. Listen, that is not purpose. Of course you're miserable. Of course love has faded away because you ain't got no purpose. Find a shared purpose and get passionate about it together. Bring purpose back in. But then there's also a second part that you've got to honor each other's unique purpose, right? So I thought that my purpose was my wife's purpose. That was one of the big areas in those 5 days that like, I was like, come on, babe, let's go. Like, we're building this coaching company and changing people's lives. And I was like, come on. And she's going to support me and take care of the kids in the house and like maybe iron a shirt every now and then. And my wife was like, no, I've got my own purpose. You've got a purpose. And so I realized I wasn't honoring her unique purpose. And part of that, like, we just hadn't had the dialogue. And so we opened some conversation where we started to discover that. And I was able to give her space. And a friend of mine, one of my mastermind clients, he said, his goal, I just stole this language from, is to clear a path for my wife to thrive, is what he said. What if we did that? And so that's been my heart for the last couple of years, to clear a path for her to thrive. Out of that, she ended up launching a business, which she's initiated. And it's freaking amazing. And she's coming alive and her heart is singing on a daily basis. She's thriving in her creative flow. And it's amazing. But that was a big gap that wasn't happening before that. So alignment and purpose. Number two, alignment and partnership. This is a big one I could talk about for a long, long time. Alignment and partnership. Two quick thoughts I'll just give you. Listen, your spouse does not need you to be an expert. He or she, and by the way, if you're not married, you can take this into partnership. By the way, a lot of these principles apply in business and all kinds of relationships, but I'm just focusing on marriage. So apply as needed. But your spouse does not need you to be an expert. They need you to be a partner. I'm a coach. I'm a pastor. I counsel people. And so my wife did not need me to be a coach. She needed me to be her partner. She didn't need me to be the counselor, the pastor. Like, no. I'm the only person on the planet that can be her partner, her husband, her spouse. That's what she needed me to be. So I don't know what you've been trying to be your spouse. Be the boss. Be the fixer. Be your spouse's conscience. Oh my gosh. I don't even know why you try to do that, but like, we do some crazy stuff. Whatever you've been trying to be, they don't need you to be that. They need you to be a partner that comes alongside, that supports, that honors, that serves, that celebrates. Be the partner that your spouse needs to be. Now, the second point that I'll give you is, listen, whoever you're with, however long you've been with them, if you have not had a conversation to define what partnership means, you have different definitions. 100% guaranteed. If you've never had the conversation, she thinks it's one thing and you think it's the other thing, right? So you got to come together and create your own definition of what partnership looks like. And you don't have to agree, but like, so my wife, when it came to like business stuff and like growth and personal development, she would prefer me to be a silent partner. Speak when spoken to, and that's her version of support. She wants to know I'm there. She wants to know that I can add and celebrate and encourage, but like, she don't want me getting into the details. I, on the other hand, prefer a very vocal partner because my love language is words of affirmation. And so show me the love. Tell me how awesome I am. Like, come on, give me ideas. Be curious. Ask questions. Like, I want that. And she wants something. So I support her and partner with her the way she needs. And she can partner with me the way I need. and there's always some compromise in there as well, right? So define partnership. If you're married, take some time this week to define partnership. It's going to change everything for you. Define partnership and be a partner to your significant other. And then lastly, get aligned in passion. And here's the biggest thing I learned. Now, we had a very entertaining conversation in our transformation community this week as we were talking about this, because I made this statement. I'll go tell you what I said. Almost never, like passion, because that, like coming into the thing, I was like, well, I know what's going to fix our marriage in this 5-day marriage. We just need to have more sex, right? Sorry to be a stereotypical male, but like that was definitely in my head. And here's what I realized. Having more conversations about having more sex almost never is going to result in having more sex. Now, let me qualify this, because I said that on the call and someone was like, I totally disagree with that. But as we kind of dialogued a little bit, here's like, should you talk about having more sex? Yes, you should. You should talk about what you like, about what you don't like. You should talk about like your fantasies. You should talk about frequencies. You should talk about everything about sex. You should talk, listen, just about all of you on here, most of you, like probably 95, like you need to talk about sex more. Seriously, you really do. Like it's not taboo. Like if you're married, if you're long-term, like listen, talk about this stuff, because none of it's automatic and no two people are the same. You got to talk. You got to talk about it more. But what I'm alluding to when I say more conversations about sex isn't going to bring more sex is because most of the times we are treating a symptom rather than going deep. So what I learned is that if what was most important in our relationship to increase the passion, the intimacy in our relationship, was all the other things I already talked to you about. We had to get aligned in purpose. We had to get aligned in partnership. Like a big thing we learned in that partnership piece is that there was some broken trust that I had to take responsibility and ownership for. In financial areas in our lives, I had let my wife down. I had made some stupid decisions, and there'd been some things that were broken trust, right? We've shared this publicly together, so it's no news. And I was not realizing how deep that break went, right? So if there's no trust, there can be no respect. And if there's no respect, there's going to be no desire. So we could have talked about sex and like whatever, sex, techniques, like whatever you want, positions. Like you could talk about that till we're blue in the face. But if we didn't fix trust, it didn't matter. And so some of you've been trying to fix this, and really you need to go deeper and say, how do I emotionally connect? How do we rebuild trust in our relationship? How do I clear a path for my spouse to thrive in their purpose and honor their unique purpose? And how can we partner together and bring more purpose into our relationship so passion just overflows? And when you're aligned and you're connecting emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and you're connecting on these deep levels, wouldn't you know it? That passion thing, kind of easy. And those conversations about the practice, those are easy because you're not trying to force something that's not there, because the level of intimacy emotionally, spiritually, and physically that will come when you're aligned in purpose and you're aligned in partnership, it will come into that passion, and the passion will feel not in one dimensional in a physical way, but the passion will be just oozing out of every pore of your relationship, and it's going to overflow. So, sure, talk about sex, but please don't avoid all the other stuff that listen, I love you, but you've been avoiding it. It's time to have some uncomfortable conversations with your significant other so that you can fix your marriage, which I mean, you know me, fixing your marriage means taking back your power and taking full responsibility for your part, right? Even if they ain't on board yet, you can do that, and you can begin to get aligned in purpose and partnership, and the passion will follow. I hope this served you. So, man, I did pretty good. I did that in like less than 15 minutes. I gave you a little extra. It wasn't an hour and a half. But hey, which one of these are you aware of right now that you need to do some work? Like, going public with something is kind of helpful. Like, if you drop it in the comments right now, you might not want to tag your spouse because they don't have context, but like, drop it in the I'm going to work on this. Purpose, partnership, maybe clearing a path for my spouse, maybe building trust, maybe serving more and like making my marriage more about what I give than about what I get. That's a whole nother component. You're not going to have a happy marriage if you're selfish. I love you, but stop being selfish and start making it about your spouse instead of about you. That's a little bonus point for you. So I hope this served you well. Guys, I want you to have passion and just purpose. I want you to have it all, but it doesn't just automatically happen when you say I do. Marriage takes work. Almost 22 and a half years into this thing. My parents married for 55 years. I've seen some marriages, but all of them take work. And so put the work in. Don't give up. Don't give up on your marriage. It's not a lack of love. If you could increase that understanding and learn to see where they're at, feel what they're feeling, right? Like maybe if you just understood a little bit more, maybe love would come back alive. You just got to do some work to reignite that flame. So that's my prayer for you. I hope this served you well, guys. I love you. This is where you should get off this video right now, and go into your house, into your home, and give your greatness to your significant other because they need you. They need you to show up. Go give your greatness away. I love y'all.